Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tracy's Takes. Just a preface here, what we do on my channel is we discuss movies and TV shows. I tend to give you my opinion and my insight about the movie or TV show. Maybe that informs you of whether or not you want to check the movie or TV show out yourself or not. So today, I wanted to discuss something a little different. Had a brief discussion yesterday with my sister, and I was just reminding her about this topic. And it dawned on me that many people may not have paid attention, or maybe it's because the way the world's going, you just don't need to. But I want to discuss physical media, um, a little bit of cable, and a little bit about streaming. The reason why I want to discuss it is because us as movies and TV show fans, it's important for us to know where we're getting our content and what may happen or may not happen with that content in that space. So, uh, just wanted to briefly discuss it today. The first thing I want to bring up is streaming prices. Streaming is the way of the world right now. We are in a streaming world for sure. And initially, it sounded and it felt like a dream come true. If I remember a time when people were begging for a platform where we could watch the shows and the movies that we love the most without having to suffer through half an hour to an hour of commercials for a 30-minute to an hour and a half movie. That day did come, and initially the light on the horizon was fantastic. Unfortunately, it came at a cost. Each of these studios created their own, in most part, their own, what's the word for it? Their own platform to store their content. So you have WB, which is now Max, you have Disney Plus, you have Paramount Plus, Apple TV, so forth and so on. Which individually isn't a problem until you realize that if you want to watch a show on Disney Plus in April and then a show on Max in September, and then you have a favorite show on Apple TV in January, and then Paramount Plus has 19 whatever now out, and you want to watch that, well, then you quickly realize that you have more subscriptions than you can remember. I being a victim of this. And in the beginning, these subscriptions were cheap. I think when Disney Plus first aired, it was somewhere around $4 a month. It is not that now. Netflix being a big one, they were the grandfather of this streaming thing. They really got this thing catapulted. And I think right now, if you want Netflix no ads, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $29 a month. And the other streaming services aren't far behind them. I think Disney Plus right now with Hulu is like $19.99. If you add those subscriptions up, um, the average person quickly realizes that you are spending, if not the amount, close to the amount you were spending for cable. And then to make matters worse, for the way they have tried to subsidize us is, well, here's what we'll do. We'll reduce the price of our subscription if you allow us to show you ads. So, yeah. So now we pretty much have cable. I mean, there are some pluses for having subscriptions, of course. You get your content right there in that platform, and if you're willing to pay a few extra dollars, you get that content ad free. Cable did not offer that. There was only a few channels that you could even hope and dream you can watch without commercials, and they have since made their own streaming platform, and they kind of use that same model. Uh, Speaking of cable, cable's future is, I think, numbered. There was people remember when AT&T sort of pseudo merged with DirecTV for a while there. I think they still own some ownership of DirecTV. in the areas where they can't get their fiber and AT&T services there. There was a conversation being had and a sort of a pre-deal being had with Cox and one other big name out in the West Coast. The name is losing me now, but either way, that deal didn't go through. Spectrum was the big deal. Deal didn't go through, so all the cable companies right now are they're trying to find any avenue to stay afloat because streaming is killing them. I mean, it really is. If you look at the cable services in my area, if you wanted to get, I'm not going to name the name of the cable service just to prevent any kind of any lawsuits. But if you wanted to get a cable service in my area and you wanted to add, of course, because it wouldn't make sense not to add their Wi-Fi package, you're looking at spending about $180 a month. And if you're like me and you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to spend $180 a month to surf through your channels and be forced to watch commercials, I'd rather watch the same thing over and over again on Disney Plus. At least I know what I'm getting and there's no commercials in the middle. But yeah, so cable is in trouble and they know it. They're trying anything they can to stay afloat here. Some cable services are even offering streaming platforms. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Comcast, I think they own Universal, so they're kind of in that game. There is some life left for them, but they're gonna have to do some serious adjusting to what they're pricing for sure. People are not going to select cable as an option if there is streaming. There's a streaming alternative that's cheaper and has less commitment to the ad thing. But that brings me to the big topic of conversation and the reason why I wanted to make this video. I just wanted to get those two things out of the way first. The conversation that my sister and I were having, and I was kind of encouraging her to go out and buy the physical media that she was interested in. In the conversation, she mentioned that she was thinking about going out and purchasing uh, something on physical media, and I expressed to her, well, you might want to hurry up. And then that kind of led into me explaining to her that physical media is kind of going the way of the dodo. Um, I'm sure you notice if you walk through your stores now that you don't see much physical media, and the places who still have them, the selection is very sparse. It usually only contains high tent, uh, big blockbuster event movies and TV shows are even more sparse. You probably won't be able to find your favorite TV show in a DVD box set anymore. And that's just the way the direction things are going. There were some big contributors back in the day to keeping that system afloat. Uh, since then, since the streaming world has really dominated the landscape, Samsung, LG, and Oppo no longer even make DVD players or Blu-ray players. Samsung was a big producer of DVD and Blu-ray players. They have completely dropped out of the game, which, if you think about it, if there are no player manufacturers or Blu-ray player manufacturers, then even if they do sell, even if you still have in your collection in your living room or den, um, your favorite hits on DVD or Blu-ray, if that Blu-ray player or DVD player you have now breaks, you got a nice collection, but you can't play it. There are a few big hitters still left in the game. Sony and Panasonic are the only big names left in the game of physical media. There are a few companies left with smaller footprints, like Philips, Pioneer, and Toshiba, but they are very small in comparison, and I don't foresee them staying around much longer just because of the trend. Best Buy pretty much removed all physical media from their shelves. Walmart did a big sell-off all their physical media. And like I mentioned, the only things you really can find now are your big tempo event movies. like your big blockbusters, your Marvels, your DCs, your Star Wars, the collectors in the bunch, so to speak. But eventually, even those wells will run dry, and people will, if you're not in that collector niche, then you probably only watch those things on streaming anyway. So uh, the downside to that is this: if physical media goes the way of the dodo, and I'm all for streaming. I think streaming is very convenient. I love that I don't have to have full backstory here. I used to have duffel bags of DVDs in my house. My wife, and part of our marital agreement, unbeknownst to me, she already had a plan for me to get rid of those DVDs, and eventually I did. And she was right; they were just everywhere. Even if she tried to organize them, I had too many, and I didn't even have a DVD player to play them on. I just had them for nostalgia. So I did eventually remove them from my house. But the downside to not having physical media, not having a hard copy that you own, is when everything is on streaming, you're really handcuffed to the studio. If the studio decides, hey, we are spending more money to keep this show or movie on our platform, then we're bringing in subscribers because that's what they make their money off now. Subscribers, which is why you don't see many shows, even when they're popular, get greenlit for season twos because they're looking at the analytics and they're trying to see, okay, when we dropped season one of this new show, how many new subscribers did we gain? And you're probably thinking, well, everyone I know was watching it. Well, yeah, because everybody had a subscription already. They weren't looking for you to watch it. They were hoping that you could get Timmy from down the street who didn't have the subscription to watch it. And if Timmy didn't watch, you're probably not getting the season two. And that's just one downside to the streaming platform. The big one, and most people don't think about this, but it's reality. If, like I mentioned, that TV show or movie, let's say it has royalties attached, let's say the actors got contracts set out to where they make a certain percentage based on how long the movie is on their streaming platform, which exists, then it may be more beneficial for the studio just to remove it entirely. And if that were to happen, then because there's no physical media copies of this TV show or this movie, then that movie or TV show, if it's one of your favorite TV shows, it just disappeared. There is no trace of it. There is no way for you to find it. It's just gone. And that's the downside of not having your own physical media copy is that if they decide to remove it, it's removed. And that's the decision they made. You're gonna have to live with it. If you think that hasn't happened before, it has. Disney Plus greenlit, produced, and aired on its streaming platform a show called Willow, which was essentially a sequel, or some would like a sequel to the 1988 movie Willow. To great fanfare. A lot of people were interested in a new Willow. They brought back some of the old cast, but the show did not get well received. As a matter of fact, it almost immediately there was no option for a season two, and just as fast as you could think about it, after that full season aired, it was removed from Disney Plus. So if that was your favorite show, then you know what I'm talking about because you can't go to Disney Plus right now and watch it. And they never produced a DVD format for that show. So that show was just gone. And a personal story, just to show you how this can happen to anybody. When, excuse me, when things were moving more digital and more streaming, I would I would, before it dropped, or the movie would drop on Disney Plus, Netflix, or whatever studio that had the distributing rights, it would come out on for rent or for buy, and I had a Redbox streaming app that I would go ahead and buy. I would buy it because it was like $4 more to buy it than to rent it, and I just felt like I was wasting money renting it, so I would go ahead and buy it. And one day, I just decided to scroll through my TV, and I noticed that the Redbox app was gone. And I went surfing around about how I can reclaim my movies. Uh, could not. So those movies that I bought, one of them being Bloodsport, the Vin Diesel movie, the Vin Diesel kind of pseudo hero movie that he made that wasn't well received, but I enjoyed it, so I purchased it before it was released on streaming. And that movie that I purchased, paid for, big bucks spent on that movie. I cannot go to Redbox right now and go through my catalog and select Bloodsport to watch it because it's been a while because they don't have that platform for me to surf. And that's just the reality of streaming. That's just the direction we're going. And unfortunately, with the death of, or the seemingly impending death of physical media, us movie and TV fans, we're going to have to be faced with that hard reality that if we don't get out and make physical media a thing, then we're accepting that they may just decide to remove your favorite show one day. I remember when I lived in overseas, had a favorite show, Angel, but where I lived, it was a spinoff of uh, Buffy. Where I lived, there was no airing of Angel. So when it finally finished its final season, I had an opportunity to buy a box set of season one through, I can't even think of, maybe it was season eight. I can't remember how many seasons was back then. But I bought the full box set of that TV show, and I was able to watch it whenever I got ready. Nowadays, they don't even really put out your favorite shows on DVD box sets anymore. So let's say you're a big Star Wars fan and you loved Andor, and they decided, hey, Andor made us money, and this is hypothetical, obviously, but Andor made us money for why it was there. But honestly, we owe so much in royalties, and it's really costing us more money to keep this on our streaming platform. Disney Plus can just say, you know what? Bye bye, Andor. And you will never see Andor again. that's just that's the hard truth about the streaming thing, man. And that's the sad reality of us losing physical media is that if we do in fact lose physical media, we will have to live with the consequences of if they want it gone, it's gone forever. But that's what I wanted to make a video about today, just giving you guys my insight about that. I do hope that we can keep physical media, even if it's in a niche. A couple of studios still do this as a contract thing, just to keep that alive. I think that will be beneficial because what if your favorite show wasn't the best show on Disney Plus or the best show on Max and they got rid of it? It would at least give you the option to say, hey, well, you know what? I have a physical media copy of this, so they can't take this from me. Well, let me know what you guys thought about the topic. If you agree or disagree with me, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Tracy's Takes. I appreciate you listening, and take care.